So we're doing midpoint formula today. So this is the formula. If you look at this, some of you might be able to recognize what this is and what it means. So when I add two things together and divide by 2, that's the average. When I add two things together and divide by 2, that's the average. Now, the midpoint, all that is the average between the coordinates for the x and the coordinates of the y. So that's one thing for you to keep in mind. You don't always have to go back to the formula, but in your mind, that's pretty much what you're doing. You're adding the x together, divide by 2. You add the y together and divide by 2. We're going to work a couple examples here, and it's going to make more sense. So we have a line segment has endpoints. So this is a line segment, and this is an endpoint. This is another endpoint. A line segment has the beginning and has the end. That's why they're called endpoints. B and C, find the coordinates of its midpoint. Midpoint is right there in the middle. That's a good way to remember. M for middle or midpoint. All right. So this is point B. I'm going to write x1, y1. So this is x, this is y. X is 8, y is 8. Now I have point C right there. I'm going to label it x2 and y2 right there. So x2 right there, 8, y2 right there, 10. So we know where the numbers are coming from. This is, let's say that this is point 1, this is point 2. That's why I'm labeling that. Now at this point, all I have to do is plug that in the formula. So the formula calls for x1. x1 right there, 8, plus x2. x2 also 8. Divide by 2. And since we're talking about the midpoint, every point has the x and the y coordinate. y1, 8 right there, plus y2 right there is 10 over 2. Now, be very careful when you plug this in the calculator. I'm going to show you two different ways. One, I'm going to plug it in exactly how you see it, like the fraction. So you go alpha, y equals, enter. And I'm going to put the fraction in exactly how you see it. So 8 plus 8 over 2. And no, you don't put the comma there in the other part. You're first trying to find the average between the x, and then you're going to find the average between the y. That way you have the x and the y coordinates. Okay, so I got 8 for x. Now I'm going to do the same thing so I can find y. Again, alpha, y equals, enter. And then you type it in the way you have it on your paper. 9. So the midpoint between B and C is 8, 9. 8 for x, y is 9. Some people, and this is the answer, watch out, because if you are trying to do this, this is going to give you the wrong answer. Why? PEMDAS. The calculator will always do PEMDAS for you. If you want to type it in without doing the fraction like we just did, it's okay, as long as you put parentheses around the numerator right there and then divide that by 2. Because as you know, when you find the average, you add those two together and then you divide by 2. So 8 plus 8, 16. Divide by 2 is 8. There's that. This first one, that's how you do not do it. A lot of people do it this way, but it's wrong. You will get the wrong answer and you're going to miss that question. Don't do that. All right. Another one. We have V is the midpoint of line segment UW. This is how you read. With the bar on top, this is line segment UW. If the distance between UV is that and VW is that, then what is the distance from U to V? I like to draw first so we have an idea what it's looking like, what the question is asking really. I just need to be able to see it. So this is my cute line segment UW. That's my line segment UW. And V is the midpoint. It's right there in the middle. UV is x plus 3. And I have VW as 2x. Now, by definition, if this is the midpoint, it's right there in the middle. If it's in the middle, this is the same length as this. Middle, all right. So if I know they're the same distance, I'm just going to set them equal to one another because V is in the middle. Now I'm going to solve for x. Notice that here I didn't line them up because they're not like terms. So I cannot combine them, so I put them off to the side. I'm solving for x, so I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. Here I have negative x equals negative 3. Now I'm still trying to isolate x by dividing by negative 1. So x equals 3. That's not what the question is asking. The question is asking, what is UV? So I know UV equals x plus 3. I'm trying to find this length right here. So, but I do know at this point that x equals 3. So I can find that the length of UV is 3 plus 3. That makes UV 6. IXL will change the question every now and then by asking the distance between UV, and sometimes it's going to ask you the distance between UW. So watch out for that. Sometimes the IXL is going to ask for X. So make sure you answer whatever the question is asking so you don't get frustrated. Last one. So I have point R is the midpoint now. I'm still going to draw it, as you know. So R is the midpoint of line segment QS. Again, this is how you read it. Line segment QS with a little thingy on top. You need to be able to read line segment QS. Now, if RS is 2, RS right there is 2, and QS is 3x plus 9. Ooh. Now this whole thing is 3x plus 9. See why it's good to draw? So what is the length of QS? The length, not the expression. So we have to solve it. You're like, but I don't have this part. Well, you kind of do. You know by definition that this is half and R is right in the middle. If it's right in the middle, this equals that. It's not given, but it's known. You just have to know that. So if that is true, I know that QS is the same thing as this half plus this half. 2 halves make a whole, right? So QR plus RS. So the distance here is the same as if I were to add these two together right there. So the distance from Q to S is the same thing as the distance from QR plus RS. So here we go. QS, it's 3x plus 9. QR right there, 2x. RS right there, 2x. Now I'm going to solve for x. I combine like terms right there. When you combine, you add. I'm solving for x, so minus 9 from both sides. Again, I didn't line them up because they're not like terms. So I'm not tempted just to add them together or subtract or whatever. So take away 4x from both sides. Now I'm isolating x, so I divide both sides by -1. If you're not sure here, just put that in your calculator. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't think that, it's a shame to do that. So -9 divided by -1, voila. A lot of you have trouble with the negatives. Just put that in the calculator. Nobody's looking at what you're doing anyways. I won't tell. Okay, so let's go back to the question. What is the length of QS? It's not asking what x is. It's not asking what expression represents QS. So now I know QS is 3x plus 9. I know x equals 9. So I'm going to substitute that in the formula, not formula, expression. Ta-da! 36. Now I answered my question.